All right, we'll go ahead and get started. A couple reminders. Please silence all phones and electronic devices. There are no recordings of this, cell phone recordings, Robert, during this. And please give your name and affiliation before you ask a question. We were joined by Florida head coach Tim Walton and players Skylar Wallace and Kendra Falby. Coach Walton, if you don't mind giving us an opening statement to start, we'll go from there to questions.
Okay, good. Thanks for having us here and being here as well. Just appreciate, obviously the state of Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, All Sports Association, ASA Hall of Fame, USA Softball. Privilege and an honor to be here. Really excited with this team. We've got a fun bunch of athletes. I always get lost, but I think 11 of them are doing this for the first time with us. 10 first time here at the College World Series. 11 new players, some veterans here. This is kind of our motor here to my right. As they go, we go. But just really, like I said, honored to be here, and looking forward to a great stay.
All right, open up the questions. Anybody? All right, second row on the left here, Scott.
Yeah, Tim, Scott Wright with the Oklahoman. Obviously, the obvious question is you going against Kenny again, and I wonder if you could talk about what it's like going against someone that you're so close with, and also if you could give us a little bit of the backstory about how the February game came together, which was obviously unique.
Yeah, obviously, Kenny and I have a great friendship. His family, his mom, his dad, I know them all for a long time. So we've been friends since I was 17 years old. Played ball together in California, and then we came to Oklahoma, won a championship together. My wife and I lived with him when I got the job at Oklahoma as assistant coach. It was a short term. We got the job at an odd time of the year in late January. We've got a great friend. Obviously we have a great amount of respect for each other. He's like a brother to me. The way we kid each other. I sent him a picture yesterday morning, told him good morning, and it was a picture of our old coach in a Gator hat. So, it's just the little things that we do. But he's amazing. He's obviously done a great job. He's wore so many different hats in this state and what he's meant to championship culture at the University of Oklahoma, and now obviously at Oklahoma State. And I told Coach Holder when he hired him, I said, you'd be lucky to have him. And, sure enough, he's done a great job with that program and revitalizing it back to championship level success. So tremendous amount of respect. The game came about. He texted me on a Sunday morning around 11 and said, hey, we got rained out. I said, we did too. What do you think about playing? I said, let me see what we can do. Long story short, we ended up getting a top 20 matchup, in less than 24 hours. ESPN Plus covered it, SEC Network. About 1,800 fans, I believe, and then our support staff and work staff to get it right. They won on a 2-strike, 2-out home run. Both pitchers pitched well, Keegan and Lexi. Both offenses weren't that great, but we were 2 days off. I think both of us the same, but it was good. It was a great game. It was something we actually needed, to be honest with you.
All right, we're good. Second row on the right to Joe.
Tim, you and Kenny were obviously both teammates with Ryan Miner. I just wondered if you could share any kind of stories on him, given his passing a few months ago.
Yeah, well, obviously, Ryan's a legend to this state for, a high school legend, a college legend, even obviously a Major League Baseball legend, replacing Cal Ripken at third base. So Ryan was a great friend, a great teammate. He and his brother Damon, their mom, their dad Dale, they just were, when I came on my recruiting trip, they were amazing. His dad and I actually traded hats, to be honest with you, on my recruiting trip. It's kind of a cool thing. I don't know why I was wearing a Long Beach hat, and he gave me a Sooners hat, and we traded, and it worked out great. So great people. Ryan's was a tremendous athlete. I'll say he is. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen. One of the coolest things ever is when took our baseball program, and I'll remember the Monday Night Madness against Kansas and beating number 1 Kansas and storming the floor, and just what he meant to our athletic department, and bringing a couple programs together, but more importantly, there's the culture of that athletic department at Oklahoma at the time as a player. But great athlete, great friend, great person. Miss him, but I know obviously he's in a better place now, just with the circumstances of his health down the road.
Questions? All right, front row on the left here to Jenny.
Hey, Kendra. Well, I actually wondered if both you players can talk a little bit about this, but being from Florida, Lexi Kilfoyle being from Florida, did you know her in high school at all? Play against her? I'm guessing by the smile. I'm asking a dumb question, but that I wanted to ask, but also to both of you, just the challenge of hitting her. You obviously saw her early. She's continued to pitch really well. What are the challenges as you think about that matchup?
Yeah, so Lexi's mom's actually my sister's godmother, so we go way back. But I mean, she's a really good pitcher. I've faced her since since the days that I started playing softball. So obviously, kudos to her. But we're excited to take her on tomorrow night.
Yeah, going off Kendra, she mixes speeds well. She hits the zone well. She attacks her batters. I think you just have to be really good about staying with your approach with her and finding good pitches to hit. Every pitcher is going to have a mistake at some point, so we just got to capitalize on those mistakes, but we're excited to get after it tomorrow.
More questions? Okay, we go second round left.
For Tyler Waltrip, Tulsa World. For Tim, does Lexi remind you of anyone specifically, just when you watch her?
I've seen her pitch since she was, I won't say little. She's always been just a monster of a pitcher in the circle. She's been good, and her dad. I got to see her brother pitch too. My son played ball against him, so I've seen known the family for a long time too, like Kendra. I don't really have somebody that I can say, oh, she reminds me of this. Maybe a Kira girl from UCLA back in the day, similar to heavy drop ball, multiple speeds, doesn't give up a lot of hits. But it's really hard to compare her. Her style is unique even her pitches. Like she throws she has what we would call like a backdoor screwball, which is just not something a lot of people can throw, her hand size and things like that. But she's a good competitor, good pitcher.
Second row on the left here to Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff Brunt, Associated Press. Coach Walton, as you're aware, the agreement involving the NCAA and the conferences last week paves the way for schools to pay athletes directly. We've seen the growth in softball over the last several years, but this development could certainly affect that. Big picture in the sport, do you worry that this change could divert funds from softball to, say, paying football players or something like that? Or do you believe that there's enough momentum in the sport and it's enough of a priority that this could be beneficial?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, I'm not skilled to answer that on that many levels. I think the beauty of being a college softball coach and being a coach and a mentor to my young people, I hope it benefits them. My greatest fear, for a long time, has just been at what point in time is our model sustainable for all sports, all coaches, all programs across the country. So that's my biggest concern. I do believe we're heading down a path that's going to be probably a lot more equivalent for males and female athletes alike. But how many of them? I think that's the biggest question that I would have.
SEC Network. This is a question for the players, Kendra and Skylar. For you guys, just going through the SEC gauntlet and that schedule that you have all season long, how does it prepare you for this stage? And at what point this season did you see the qualities of this team really come together that you had the belief that you would be sitting right here, right now?
I had the belief back in August, September when we first started coming together as a team. We've been climbing this hill for a while now, so I knew we had the grit, the talent, the competitiveness to be here today and this week. But the SEC prepares you just because you're playing a very competitive schedule. Every team is out to beat the Gators, so you have to be on your A game at all times. So we're prepared as much as we possibly can, and just super excited for this week.
Yeah, I think same thing for what Skylar said. Like, it's been a grind all season. The SEC schedule we had this year was super tough. And I think what really pushed us was the Georgia series, like what we were able to do in that game and how we came back and fought. I think that was really just the momentum push, and then that led to Florida State, which that game was crazy, and then from there on. So I think that's really when we were like, okay, like we have good momentum going into postseason.
All right, we'll go to second row, right.
Myron Patton, OKC Sports Radio. Tim, transfer is a big part of everybody's program, no matter the sport. You got perhaps the best one, or one of the best ones in the country, in Jocelyn Erickson, left Oklahoma to come to your program. Just she fit in for you. Just talk about what impact she's had on your team this season.
Yeah, I think when you look at transfers across the country in all sports, there's probably been some transfers that haven't been the best fit for programs, or transferred for the wrong reasons or other things. And we really try to do our homework as much as possible on the people that we bring in. Make sure, number one, they're the right person, make sure that they fit with our culture. The academic component obviously is important to me. But I honestly, Jocelyn's been a fit from day one, right away. Just the way she goes about her work ethic, the way she goes about just who she is and her competitiveness. She's been a phenomenal addition. And if you do this right, now Skylar transferred to us as well. We've had some other ones. If you do it right, transfers sometimes are actually better than high school recruits, because they already know what they either didn't have or do have or want, and there's a lot of things that can be on a plus. I've always been an advocate for if a kid needs to go somewhere else. We had a couple of kids leave our program last year that went on to have a fantastic seasons this year, and and again, I helped pave the way for that. We just talked about what they wanted and what their goals were, and so Jocelyn's came in with the goals from day one of what she wanted to be, and how it's my job to kind of figure out how we're going to pave that way to get her there, and then most importantly, she's a great teammate and a great leader and a great competitor on the field. She's done a great job with our young pitchers of just keeping them and holding them accountable to things that they need to do, because she has the experience that that they were searching for. So she's been a fantastic addition culturally, on and off the field.
All right, we'll go front row left to Jenny.
Tim, I think it's been 10 years since you guys started wearing the sunflowers. Is that about right?
Yeah.
So to still wear them, Heather's been gone now 10 years. Can you talk about why you guys have continued and how that story, you've got players now that weren't around when all of that happened. Why has that continued, and how has that story been shared over these years?
Yeah, we have an award that the players vote on. It's not coaches driven. That's the Heather Braswell Above and Beyond Award that sits in the locker. Heather has a locker in the locker room. We have 25 locker spaces, and one of those is a Sunflower Saturday locker. And we try to do as good of a job every single year of telling the story, but we still have a young kid named Hartley, and Hartley Georges is an adopted Friends of Jacqueline kid in our program too, that she comes back and throws out her first pitch and wears her jersey and some other cool things. So it's a really cool story. Skylar and Katie Kistler are kind of the ambassadors to Hartley, and all of our players on the team, with their own money buy presents for Hartley and her little brother Carter. But Terry Braswell has season tickets. She sits right behind home plate. We have a Sunflower Saturday section that I don't know how many shirts there were this Saturday against Baylor, but the kind of a creamy yellow shirt this year, really cool. But I think the main thing is when Kelsey Horton approached me a long time ago that the girls wanted to go from ribbon and bows in their hair to kind of a created sunflower about 12 years ago now, 10 years now, I think running, we've been wearing the yellow one. So it's been pretty, we used to wear a white one and a blue one and an orange one, and then now it's shifted it over to yellow. So it's been, you see it all over the country. When I go out and recruit, they're everywhere now. And I think that's the cool thing that, talking to Dennis Murphy, who is the founding father of Friends of Jacqueline program, which is aligning a player with a program. Really cool story, and we've been able to just really give kids that are fighting for their lives with pediatric cancer just a little smile for a day potentially, but more importantly for our athletes, understanding that the game is the game, that it's part of life.
We have time for two more. We go second row on the right from Joe.
Tim, Mike White said it's a huge advantage for the World Series to always be here because for Oklahoma, and floated the idea of having it rotate. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I didn't realize that I knew that in a couple years the World Series was in Columbus, Georgia, and rightfully so, with the Olympics starting in '96 for the first ever Olympic softball games in the games. But I don't really believe that the games need to move from Oklahoma. I think now we've been here 40 years. The community, the state. It really is. It's something that people look forward to. The economic impact, obviously, that we heard last night as a group. This is great. It's awesome. My only thing was just trying to get this similar to what Omaha is, and that be down in Bricktown or somewhere like that, where the kids, the families, the fans can have a little bit more of an atmosphere. Not to say that this stadium isn't a great stadium. It is, just the atmosphere that they have at TD Ameritrade downtown and some of that stuff is just different. I've been there once. We just don't have that here. I'll tell you this: my wife's been on my butt for 2 days. How do I get a parking pass? We used to get parking passes all the time, and she's like, "How am I going to get there? You don't understand. It's packed. We can't get out of the stadium." I'm like, "Well, get on the bus." I mean, it's long story short, it'd be nice to be able to walk to your hotel after the game from Bricktown. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do. But it's here. It needs to stay here. It's been here 40 years. This is the place where it needs to be.
All right, Barry on the front left will wrap us
Barry
up.
Trammell, Tulsa World. Tim, we've been talking about it a couple of years. Sooners and Longhorns headed to the SEC. As soon as this tournament's over, they're there. What are they in for, and what are you in for with them joining the conference?
We got them both on our schedule next year at home, so that'll be interesting. I think at the end of the day, everybody talked about, wow, you got these two teams. Obviously, they're great programs led by great coaches and have great athletes. It's just different. It's just different. It's just different. The SEC is different. And I thought we were good, and then we get our butts kicked by somebody, one weekend. I'm like, gosh, man, it's tough. The travel, the fans, the passion, the number of fans, it's just different. And I'm excited that they're coming to the SEC. I think they're going to expand recruiting bases for their programs and our programs, and the television coverage and the popularity. We've already been the number one RPI conference in the country. And now we're going to be the number 1+ star RPI in the country when you add those two teams. They're really good, and it's going to be a challenge. We're in for a challenge. They're in for a challenge. Tennessee had a fantastic SEC season. They really did. And I think we lost 7 games in one series, and we're second place. So it's going to be there's no longer going to be an undefeated SEC champion or a one-loss SEC champion. There's going to be multiple losses.
Right, that'll wrap things up for Florida. Thank you.
Thank you. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Duke is up at 2:45, by the way.